So, ma'am, on this body chart, can you describe for us and point out what was the first blunt impact injury that you identified?
So there were some blunt impact injuries to his head. I don't think it's on this one, but there were some blunt impact injuries to his head right up here around the eye and on the mouth area.
And then, did you notate any injuries to his hand?
Yes, so there were some ecchymoses, or you can think of that as like a large kind of bruise on both hands.
What other blunt impact injuries did you identify?
So there was a series of ecchymoses on the left side of the back, right about here.
And any others?
There were some on the forearms as well.
And you use this body chart, you say, in addition to photographing the injuries that you document, correct?
Yes.
Tell us, what is this a photo of?
So this is the identification photo that's basically just showing from about the level of the collarbones up.
And this is George Torres?
Yes.
Did you note any signs of injury in this photo?
Yes, so there's some ecchymoses around the left eye. This picture, it's a little bit hard to see, but I think there's another one coming up. There's also an area of ecchymoses up here on the left side of the forehead with also some swelling associated with that. The lips have some contusions and small lacerations. And then on the left shoulder here, you can see a little bit of some ecchymoses here, or again, ecchymoses are kind of like big bruises.
Turning to photo 2 from State's composite. What are we looking at in this photograph?
So this is his right arm near the elbow. And right here, you can see this kind of darker area. So this looks similar to an abrasion, but it's actually, it's what's called drying artifact. And again, this is one of the reasons that I think that he was in that suitcase for a little bit longer. Most likely that was a pressure point where part of that suitcase was resting on his elbow in that area. And then after death, that tissue dries out, and that's the discoloration that you're seeing there.
Turning to States 3 from the composite.
So here you can see a little bit better. I don't know if you can get a feeling for this, but this area is what we call edema or swelling. So this whole area is edema. It's a little bit discolored, so ecchymoses. And then again, really at the corner of the eye here, you can see that darker discoloration. And so those are injuries from blunt force trauma.
States 4 from the composite.
So this is the left shoulder and arm. So again, you can see this kind of red to purple area. So this is all ecchymoses, and then a couple of linear abrasions or scratches.
States 5 from the composite.
This is the same area, just a little bit closer up, so you can see this whole area of ecchymoses. It's a little bit variegated, differential in color, but again, that's all blunt force trauma.
And what part of the body is this we're looking at?
This is the left shoulder.
States 6 from the composite.
That's the same area, but in this picture, we have a scale or the ruler.
And why do we use scales and rulers?
That's just to give an idea of how big the area is or how large the injury is.
States 7 from the composite.
So this is the left forearm and hand. And you can see the area right here that's a little bit red to purple. And then also right here on the left hand, right here and here. Those are all areas of ecchymosis, again, blunt force trauma.
States 8 from the composite.
Again, the left arm. Just from a little bit of a different angle, so you can see, and a little bit with the elbow too here, but you can see all these areas of ecchymosis.
States 9 from the composite.
And now looking at the left hand, a little bit closer up, so you can kind of see a little bit better these areas of ecchymosis.
States 10 from the composite.
And again, the left hand just closer up.
States 11 from the composite.
So now we're looking at the back, and you can see that there are these linear abrasions in the mid-back.
Are those scratch marks for?
They could be scratch marks. They could also be blunt impact, more of just a straight-on blunt impact, especially being in that suitcase if there are objects in there.
What is the discoloration that we see around his shoulders and then and some other spots on his back?
Sure. So you're talking about this area?
Yes.
So that's called livor mortis or lividity, and that's one of the changes that we see again after death. And basically what that is it's postmortem after death settling of blood in the blood vessels. And so it's dependent on gravity and it's dependent on the person's position. So what I mean by that is we're seeing it on his back because after the time of death, at some point in time, he was more positioned on his back. And the areas that are lighter, that's because for a couple of reasons. It could be the position of the body, meaning that it's not in the gravity dependent position, or there could be something pressing on it. So either one of those.
Stage 12 from the composite.
So those are those linear abrasions just shown a little bit closer up.
Stage 13 from the composite.
And the same, but with a scale.
Stage 14 from the composite.
So now you're seeing the left side of his back and also the back of his left arm. And you can see these areas here of ecchymosis, and these are a lot darker than some of the others that we've seen. One of the things that I did is I looked underneath the skin in these areas because they're so much darker and so much more dense. So I wanted to see if there was injury of the deeper tissues. So these areas are associated with hemorrhage or bleeding into the skeletal muscle, so the deeper tissues. And so that's just indicating more force applied to that area.
And when you did your internal exam, did you examine this area and did that inform your findings?
Yes.
Stage 15 from the composite.
And that's showing those areas a little bit closer up. So you can see that they're much more dense. There's at least 3 distinct areas here. There could be more than 3 impacts, but there's at least 3 separate ones that can be seen.
States 16 from the composite.
This is just showing the upper back and the back of the neck. We've got a linear abrasion right here on the back of the neck, and these were the ones shown in the earlier pictures.
And states 17 from the composite.
And this is just showing the same area of the back and the back of the arm, but just at a different angle.
So we've discussed and seen evidence of many different injuries. In total, how many blunt impact injuries did you identify?
I can't give you an exact number. Again, you can have multiple impacts in a very close area. So it can be hard to discern each one. They can overlay each other, or they can be so close to each other. But at least, 5 to 6, most likely more than that.
And when you were going through your body chart as well, and I guess we also saw some of it photographically, as you also mentioned impact to the left side of the head.
Yes.
And I believe that was subgaleal?
Subgaleal. So kind of similar to what I was describing on the back. I looked at the underside of the scalp. And so in those areas on the left side of his forehead where there was the edema, when we reflect or we fold the scalp over, there was hemorrhage or bleeding that went through the entire scalp and was deposited on the skull. There was no associated skull fracture, and there was no bleeding inside of the skull, but it was all in the scalp and deposited on the outer surface of the skull.
So under the skin, but not under the skull.
Correct.
As to cause and manner of death.
So the cause of death, which I put on the death certificate, is positional asphyxia with environmental suffocation. And the manner of death I classified as homicide.
You said that in this case, what was sent for DNA comparison?
In this case, there was a bloodstain card or a DNA card represented as being from Mr. Torres, buccal swabs represented as being from Miss Boone, fingernail clippings from both hands represented as being from Mr. Torres, and then fingernail swabs from both hands represented as being from Miss Boone.
Those are the only items that were sent to your lab for comparison.
Those were the only items sent to the DNA lab, yes.
When you walk the scene, just tell us some of your observations.
So when you first enter, immediately on the right, there's like a kitchen. And then if you continue down like a very small, short hallway, it opens up to the living room / dining room area. And so when I entered, I could see the victim, George Torres, laying on the ground next to a blue suitcase.
Did you work with the crime scene investigator to identify potential pieces of evidence for collection?
Yes, I did.
Did you also have an opportunity to speak with the defendant in this case at that time?
Yes, I did.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
You were just explaining to me that
He decided to hide in there. So, being silly, he and I were sitting there laughing at it, like with him in there. And then, so I didn't zip it up all the way, but I mean, enough to where his little fingers were out there and whatever, but still having a good time and whatever. Then I guess I decided to go upstairs, and I don't know, I fell asleep. So I woke up this morning and again thought he was downstairs on the laptop looking for a job, as he usually is. And then thought, where is he? Is he on the back porch? Is he in the bathroom? Like, where is he? And then I came to about the suitcase. So I opened the suitcase I took him out, stretched him out, started to do CPR. Where air was coming out, and then like whatever gurgle. So I'm trying to do CPR on him. I'm shaking him, trying to get him to come to, but I can tell by looking at him, something was wrong. He's been losing his teeth lately and has been complaining about his chest hurts, which is why I keep trying to get him to go to the doctor, but because he nor I have a job or insurance, has been putting it off. So again, I didn't know what to do, so I called Brian, my ex-husband. I called him, he came over, just walked in and then walked out. I grabbed my phone and I called you guys. From there, here we are.
If you get a mark from it, you'll get bruising. Like someone hit you or something like that, it's called a contusion. So he had some injuries to his left shoulder. He had a cut near his like lip. We could see his mouth was a little.
I haven't laid hands on him.
Okay.
Also too, he fell off my son's bike.
Okay.
So I don't know. And he's notorious for running into the wall or the halteres. So
Okay. What about the scratches? Because there's also sex.
yes.
Okay. Because there's also like a scratch on like the back of his neck, like kind of like but it's like going straight across.
I have no idea what that's from.
And they're all recent, like they occurred recently. It wasn't something that occurred post or that occurred a week ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. They definitely occurred, the night leading up to when he was.
In all honesty, we have not gotten into it. Nobody else knows, but I know. Nobody knew George better than I did. I say that I knew George better than himself. And I tried in every way, shape, and form. Ask everyone. I helped him. I took care of him. I missed him a lot, and I didn't even sleep last night. I miss him a lot.
I mean, is there any chance it got to be too much for you and you couldn't handle taking care of him? And
I never stopped. I never stopped. That's what I'm here for. I never stopped. I'm here now and I'm still trying to help him.
yeah, we just don't. I mean, it's unexplainable how he got these injuries, and
I have no idea.
you were the only one with him.
100% right hand to God. I have no idea how he got them. Nobody touched anybody. Nobody touched anybody.
I heard 11 minutes later, it flipped over the other way, closer to your dining room table.
Okay.
Now he's obviously still in there. So he didn't, how did it go from the back to the front?
I flipped it.
Okay.
My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep,
Well, that's what you did.
but not intentional.
No, you told me you went upstairs because you were
Stop
getting ready for bed.
Stop here.
Okay, but show me where you can see any fingers coming out, because they're at the end.
And his head's right here.
Mm-hmm.
So going like this, rather than going all the way up, it's like this.
But why is he saying I can't breathe, and why is he pushing on it as if he can't get out?
It doesn't show a hole.
There's no hole, there's no fingers, I don't see his fingers, there's no hole.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't know, what you want me to tell you.
I'm just telling you what we see and what we've heard from the other video.
I understand.
He's begging for you to let him out. You're laughing in the beginning, and then in the end, it sounds kind of like
No, it's not malicious.
Well, saying fuck you,
It's not malicious.
then what is that?
what does fuck you mean to you?
Well,
Like if I were to tell
oh, like, yeah, I get told everything by a white woman, so
Okay.
my intention was not to leave him in there.
Please understand that. My intention was not to leave him in there.
But you went upstairs thinking that he could get himself out, but the video shows.
That's why I told you.
And I see his fingers.
He'll be out there any minute.
And then 30 minutes later, he didn't show.
And he's telling you.
And I
he
didn't
can't
wake
breathe.
up.
Do you think
Not able
he's
to
joking? You told me he was laughing and I.
We were,
The
we were.
video, there's
When
no
we first
laughing.
got in there, both of us
So
were.
how long was he in there for? Like, this video is at 11:12 when it starts, so was he in there for like a long time prior to recording it?
No. Yes, but it was not intentional.
Okay.
Give me a favor, stand up. You just turn around, face the wall. Put your hands behind your back. Do you have anything in your pockets that I should know about?
No.
Okay.
Why is this happening?
Because George is dead.
Not intentionally. We understand
He's still dead.
Well, we don't. Someone needs to call Brian, please.
Okay.
Or can I not make a phone call?
You'll be able to make a phone call when you get down to the jail.
So why is this happening? So this was a trick.
No, it's not. How's the trip? I'm here to ask you to explain a few things to us.
Uh-huh.
And
You're right, you're right.
your response to everything was basically, I didn't do it.
Intentionally.
Doesn't matter. It's still there. Your favor, have a seat. Really?
So I didn't show up. Why is this happening?
Because
Before you all said I could leave,
when
that I was done after that.
we were done, yes, we were done. Absolutely,
So now, so that's what it is.
we are done.
Judge, and the only other thing is, we're trying to logistically get our witnesses here. We got to fly one in, and of course, Ms. Walker and the experts. I'm just asking for what their plan is for their case for tomorrow.
Judge, we covered it up at the bench, I thought. This is our last witness. It's up to them on how long they cross her. I thought we anticipated Ms. Boone taking the stand at 10 a.m.
He mentioned 10:30.
And my understanding was that Mr. that Mr. Cacciatore had no further questions for Detective Kepsel, and that we would tender her for cross tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Mr. Henderson had advised it would be 30 to 45 minutes. Taking the worst case scenario, that would be 9:45, built in 15 minutes for redirect. I don't know if it's going to take that long. We will then remove the jury. Once the state rests, we will address any motions. I will colloquy your client on a couple of different matters, and then I will turn it over to you. So I would say that the start time, a good range would be between 10 and 10:30.